Welcome to this afternoon's presentation, in which we're going to be taking a look at the latest Wi-Fi standard, which is Wi-Fi 6. So yeah, guys, just relax. We're going to be open to some questions at the end of the session, but this is just going to be a brief intro into the technology itself. We're not going to get too technical, but what we really want to do is just explain to you where Wi-Fi 6 fits in and what the specific benefits are. There's a lot of excitement around this fantastic technology, and we want to explain to you guys exactly why that is the case. So before we kick off, just to quickly introduce the people whose voices you'll be hearing. Firstly, we have myself, Charles de Cray. I'm the Cambium Networks product manager, as well as Elmo, who is our Ubiquity product manager. So as you can imagine, on both the outdoor and wireless front, we've got a few interesting products that often compete against one another. But we, at the end of the day, we both share the same passion for the technology. So obviously, the wireless standards that you see, whether it be 802.11n, AC, AX, which is your current Wi-Fi 6, that applies to all the brands that we look after. So yeah, moving on to the next slide. So for the agenda for the day, just to give you a quick summary, we're going to quickly give you an introduction to MiRO, to explain to you why specifically MiRO. There are, of course, many other distributors out there, but what is our specific specialization and how do we strive to bring extra value to you? So we're going to, next of all, build a case for Wi-Fi 6. So we're going to have a look at the implicit expectation for connectivity. As we know, the demand for connectivity is on the rise, more specifically during the current time that we find ourselves in now, with the likes of COVID-19 pushing us to work from home and get better connectivity and to support a sort of hybrid scenario where you're using connectivity for your own personal leisure, but business as well. Then Elma's going to take us through the history of Wi-Fi and business, and then we're going to take a look at the specific Wi-Fi 6 technology, so the benefits of Wi-Fi 6, and then the different types of applications that it can be applied to, whether it be a home environment, enterprise environment, and then last but not least, once we've rolled out such a network, how do we then manage it? So we're going to take a look at the benefits of a centralized managed platform supporting Wi-Fi 6. Cool. So as mentioned, we're going to take a quick look at how MiRO strives to empower you to connect communities. And with that being said, I'm going to hand over to Elmo.
Sure. Thank you for that introduction, Charles. Good day, everybody. As Charles mentioned, my name is Elmo, and a proud member of the MiRO family, and I manage Ubiquity as part of my portfolio. Today, as part of the team, we'll be looking at different Wi-Fi 6 applications and how it fits into our daily lives. I think it's something that we've all grown accustomed to, is the connectivity side of things and the importance of having the correct connectivity and products available. But before we get there, let's have a look at who, or rather why, MiRO. And yeah, I just quickly want to mention also there is a chat box on the left-hand side of everyone's names of the participants. Please feel free to drop a question or a comment in there. Right at the end of this presentation, we will have an open discussion forum where we can look at your questions and hopefully get some answers. Right. So for the past 18 years, since MiRO was founded in South Africa in 2003, we've applied our industry knowledge that led to the company's building a formidable, proven track record of supplying powerful, flexible, and of course, scalable solutions. MiRO has positioned itself as a responsible supplier to the growing IP convergence industry, and joining the JSE-listed company Udaco as a result. As a proud BEE Level 4 contributor, we also sell and export to 35 countries around the world, and with a little over 170 staff members based throughout our 4 South African branches, those branches of course being Cape Town, Durban, Nelspruit and Centurion. We also have a branch in Kenya. With over 2,500 items in our catalog, we also managed to ship 95% of those orders the same day. As a distributor that keeps stock on hand, we move a new product every 12 seconds, and in 2020, we far exceeded the 640,000 items sold in 2019. Thanks, Charlie. So, why MiRO? Let's have a look at the additional added value benefits that you can enjoy as a business partner when signing up with MiRO, starting with tailor-made solutions. Now, these tailor-made solutions are made available to our partners. So whether it be a once-off application or a full network solution, our team is constantly updating their knowledge to ensure that we stay relevant with the markets, and even setting some examples, if I may be so bold to say. Thanks, Shaul. Next in line, we will be looking at complete solutions. To be among South Africa's leading distributors of wireless networking, VoIP, and of course IP video products means that we have only the best of breed products, ensuring we find a complete solution for you. The benefits of having a vast product platform means we have products to assist in the Wi-Fi and broadband solutions, such as indoor and outdoor Wi-Fi 6 access points, which what we'll be focusing on today. With mobile and LTE, we have products such as MiFi and again Wi-Fi 6 routers. With infrastructure, we have a pretty big portfolio with masts, brackets, cabinets, and even outdoor safes to protect your hardware from theft and severe weather. Also, from our VoIP portfolio, we have brands that showcase phenomenal conference attributes, enterprise solutions, all the way through to supplying a full unified communication layout. Our security portfolio consists of indoor and outdoor surveillance hardware, with additions such as facial recognition, our latest access control equipment, etc. With fiber, we have all that is required for a fiber network infrastructure, including OLTs and ONUs. The only thing we do not, unfortunately, stock is the fiber cable. We also cater for IoT requirements, such as gateways, which can work, of course, with your existing network solution, all the way through to 3G fleet management routers. Thanks, Shaul. We'll also be looking at support. So per the slide, you can see that the service and support is our main focus, and our highly trained technical staff can assist you with your full solution planning and will work in conjunction with your dedicated sales engineer assigned to your account when you sign up as a business partner with MiRO. We also have an RMA department to ensure any faulty or problematic type of hardware units are sorted as soon as possible. And MiRO has also launched a new service offering on-site assistance. But of course, given the current state of affairs, this service will resume hopefully sooner rather than later, and as soon as we are in the clear of COVID-19. But in the interim, please feel free to send an email to support@MiRO if you require any information regarding this service. Next in line, we've got our legal compliance. So MiRO, as a stock holding distributor, is the proud market leader with type approvals for all of our products. This ensures a steady supply of legal equipment in accordance to ICASA's regulations. Of course, MiRO will also assist you with license and licensed links. We'll talk about financing. MiRO offers two finance options in partnership with IPFin. With a run rate account, for instance, MiRO will offer a 7 to 30 day account, but you also are welcome to apply for a hardware finance option, whereby you can do the finance for your own account or pass it on to your client. You can get in contact again with any of your sales engineers assigned to your business partner profile, and they will be able to assist. Quick and easy online application. It should be hassle-free. Next up, we can talk about training. Now, introducing our very own MiRO Academy for those of you that have not joined the platform yet since 2019. This platform is available to all of our business partners, where you can enjoy the convenience of training online, specifically, again, due to our COVID situation, from certified training courses on all of our products, all the way through to introductory courses introducing you to various aspects and applications to the telecommunication industry. You can connect with us via training@miro.co.za, and they will be able to assist in finding the perfect training course for you. Our training calendar is also available on our website, www.miro.co.za. From the MiRO Academy platform, there are also various ways for you to join. We are constantly updating this platform with videos, many of which is admitted via the product management team, teachings, and of course programs that you can sign up for. So there are flexible plans that we can assist you with, whether you're looking to increase your own knowledge or whether you have a team that can benefit from this online learning with MiRO Academy. Should be hassle-free. Right, thank you very much. I trust that we are better acquainted after this. We'll definitely catch up a little bit later, and the team and I look forward to spending some time with you with this presentation. Thanks, Charles. That's me.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Elmo. And now that we've given you guys a quick rundown of MiRO, or MiRO, as it should actually be called, which is, for those of you who don't know, the name MiRO comes from our founder's favorite artist, Jean MiRO. So it's for that reason that if you want to know the correct pronunciation, it's MiRO. Although if you call it MiRO, we're not going to hold it against you, as I know that a lot of our business partners do use that name. So yeah, let's get down to the main topic that we've all come together today for, which is taking a look at Wi-Fi 6. So, I mean, as we understand, Wi-Fi 6 essentially forms the primary backbone of our access layer, so allowing us to use various different devices to connect to our wireless network and ultimately link us to the internet, okay? So this is a technology that has been around for a number of years, and as you guys will be aware, we've seen the progression, via the various Wi-Fi standards, where we've seen faster speeds, the ability to serve more concurrent connections as we progress, okay? So obviously, one can assume that when looking at Wi-Fi 6, we're looking at faster speeds and the ability to serve more devices. However, there's a bit more to that with the current day and age that we're in. So, I mean, these are just a few examples that have essentially helped build a case for Wi-Fi. So, always connected to social media, that's become an everyday thing for us. If you're not connected to whether it be Facebook, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, etc., you might as well not be living on Earth, because you're going to be out of the loop with things. So, we are becoming a lot more reliant on that connectivity to operate on a day-to-day basis, okay? Something pretty interesting is that in 2019, voice over Wi-Fi passed voice over LTE calls. So, I mean, that's a huge milestone, whereby people are less and less reliant on the mobile access network for voice calls, which one would typically assume would be much higher, but rather are choosing to, do WhatsApp calls, or Skype calls, MS Teams calls, via the Wi-Fi that they have. Okay, and I mean, in South Africa, it makes complete sense. If you look at the sort of total cost to the end user when using Wi-Fi in relation to a mobile access network, it's like night and day. You're going to save a lot more when going the Wi-Fi route. And that's where you guys as ISPs come in to help empower South Africans to do exactly that. Okay, IoT at home, school, enterprises, etc. As we mentioned, we've got a number of smart devices that we're using, whether it be your handheld, your laptop, etc. But that's now being extended even further to whether it be a video doorbell, maybe a wireless VoIP phone, a smart camera. That's just obviously a residential type example. But in the likes of hospitals, for instance, you may have certain medical equipment that is reliant on the Wi-Fi network to report back certain information, and in a type of scenario like that, that's often mission critical, and you need a rock solid connection to support those third-party IoT devices. So as I said, personal IoT, this is the requirement to be able to not just get a good Wi-Fi signal in your home, to get good coverage wherever you walk, but to actually support various devices throughout your household. And that's obviously one of the major focuses when rolling out a Wi-Fi 6 network, is getting the correctly spec unit to give you the optimum coverage so you can enjoy those speeds. With regards to streaming, that's on the up as well. if we look at the likes of Netflix, Showmax, etc., we're seeing more and more people go for that type of option as opposed to your traditional DSTV. It's a fraction of the cost, and the amount of content that you can access is pretty much unlimited. So, as a result, with regards to 4K live TV streaming, we saw a growth of 36 times between 2016 to 2021, which is obviously absolutely massive. So, with a bit of a foundation and a breakdown, with regards to the necessity as to why we need Wi-Fi 6, Elmo is going to give us a bit more background on the history of Wi-Fi.
Yeah, thanks, Charlotte. It's so true that mentioning the multiple devices, which is actually where I want to start with this history of business and Wi-Fi. If you think about the convenience for a wireless connection, it's on the brink of no longer being a convenience, but rather a necessity for survival. I'm sure that the parents that have had their kids at home the last couple of weeks will concur. It's it's a survival thing. I know my words may seem a little bit harsh, but if you think of the world and the era that we live in, you'll soon realize that everything from your car to your mobile devices, your home, your office devices, all are connected in some way or another. There's a growing demand to have Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere, and with it, the need is quickly becoming a human right. As you move seamlessly through your home, think about how you move through your office, or connecting with your friends at a local coffee shop. Communicating via your mobile device or computer has become the essence of connectivity, and is something we do not often think about or consider the benefits of having the right products. So businesses are, upgraded through connectivity, and truth be told, this day and age, you have to if you are to meet the constant growing demand. People shop these days via their phone while they are in the shop they're shopping from, connecting to the free Wi-Fi at the same shop. So if you need, or the need for best of breed products in a business environment, for instance, your access points and routers are essential. Years back, if you think about a single home or a business, you only had a couple of devices, such as phones and laptops connected. Now everything connects to Wi-Fi, from your TVs to printers, radios, alarm systems, barcode scanners, smart payment systems, surveillance, access control. This means that Wi-Fi access points and routers need to handle more simultaneous connections and has more strain on the network, demanding more speeds, or aka throughput. Hence, the world's excitement for Wi-Fi 6 with these IoT capabilities. If we just think about the changing in times and what are connected, it almost forms some sort of identity. Yeah, that's me, Charles. Thanks.
Cool. So as I mentioned, with the progression of the different standards, there has been significant increases in speeds. So for those of you that aren't that accustomed to the different or well-versed on these different standards, here's a quick breakdown just to show you the progression to really, emphasize how far we've actually come with regards to the speeds. So, one of the more commonly used standards that we're familiar with is the 802.11n standard. This has typically been used for your very entry-level residential routers, as we refer to them as N products, which will be able to push up to about 300 megabits, give or take. Okay, the 802.11n radio chipsets generally operates on about 40 megahertz. Okay, whereas when you jump up to 802.11ac, that channel width gets widened up to 80 megahertz, meaning you've got a much fatter pipeline to push that data, but it's also complemented by some really awesome features such as MIMO, okay, which Alma is going to explain in a little bit more detail later on, but essentially allows you to, increase the number of client devices that you're communicating with in a single time slot. Then we see the likes of 802.11ax that has just been introduced, which now uses two 80 megahertz channels. So an even fatter pipeline to push even more data through. But MU-MIMO on steroids, if I can sum it up that way. So the ability to serve much more concurrent connections, as it says, they're 4 times faster than 802.11 AC. So I'm sure most of you, if you have got a high-end AC router, you'll know what that's capable of. To think that we can even top that now with an AX unit is very impressive. So, in summary, on the right here, you've got your progression, from 802.11n units that are pushing about 150 megabits per second to 300 megabits per second, give or take, to your AC units that are pushing 550 megabits on average, and then finally your AX unit, which now push 2.5 gigabits per second. And look, this is just an average reference. I mean, I can tell you right off the bat, we've got a 1 or 2 routers that can push significantly higher than that as well in our portfolio. So really impressive speeds. So just to run down some of those features that I briefly touched on, without getting too technical, basically we've got the likes of multi-user OFDMA, okay, which is a small packet efficiency, which Elmo's going to, on one of the next slides, explain. Basically means that you're able to send different types of data over a single packet, improving your efficiency. MU-MIMO, where instead of a device speaking to a single, or a router speaking to a single device in a merry-go-round fashion in millisecond time slots, MU-MIMO will allow that device to speak to multiple client devices at the same time. So if you're speaking to, let's say, 4 devices instead of 1, you put, simple math will tell you that that's 4 times more efficient than a standard unit that's speaking to, 1 device at a time. You've got spatial reuse, so being able to utilize the same channels. TWT, which allows for longer battery life. So this is also something Elmer's going to go in a bit more in depth on. But essentially, long story cut short, is that a 802.11ax device, so your end user device, will be able to save a lot more battery because it's not operating 24/7 to try and work out whether the Wi-Fi is transmitting data or not. It has a way of basically picking that up without having to be on 24/7. You've got 124 QAM for faster data rates, 8x8 MU-MIMO access points, and then extended range. So just a natural element of the 802.11ax standard is that you get an additional 3 dB range improvement, meaning that for longer distances, 802.11ax will once again be more efficient than a standard 802.11ac router or Wi-Fi access points. So to explain, as I said, one or two of those features that I just touched on, Elmo's going to run us through the OFDMA and MU-MIMO features.
Yeah, thanks, Shaul. I think my name and MU-MIMO and OFDMA and
I almost called you Omo.
As long as you keep it clean. Listen, yes, this is where the exciting stuff for me happens with this type of technology. Now, people are aware of the fact that Wi-Fi 6 consists of OFDMA and MU-MIMO, but what few people know is that they actually work together in conjunction with each other. So they are both features of Wi-Fi 6, and they use it in both downlink and uplink, and as I've mentioned, in conjunction with each other. But what exactly do these technologies actually mean for your network and your connected devices? Before we talk about the downlink and the uplink, there's one or two things that I want us to take note of, and this is that both of these technologies operate in a multi-user fashion. This means the technology allows for a single access point, or then router, to simultaneously connect with multiple endpoints, endpoints such as laptops or cell phones or all of your other IoT devices. Even though these two technologies complement one another, they have same or some key differences. Okay, if I may use a traffic analogy for OFDMA and MU-MIMO technology, on the OFDMA technology is almost like carpooling with a truck that essentially helps to reduce bandwidth waste. It works by dividing a wireless channel into smaller sub-carriers. Like for instance, your Wi-Fi 6 access point can then spread those smaller packets of bandwidth among more multiple users, as Charles demonstrated in the previous slide. And is perfect for high density area deployment. If you look at things like stadiums and hotels, where the benefits of such low latency assists in IoT and always connected mobile devices. On the MU-MIMO side, Charles, you weren't too far off when you said that MU-MIMO in Wi-Fi 6 is now on steroids. It is bigger, it is better, but it was introduced first in Wi-Fi 5. And it has now grown to transmit up to 8 data streams at once. Now, same with the card analogy, if I can use that again. Imagine yourself and 7 other cars on the highway, and you have 8 different places to go, but only a one-way leading to these destinations. Okay, maybe not a highway, maybe just a one-way. So if you use that one-way, 7 cars, 8 destinations, congested, right? With the MU-MIMO feature, it is like 8 additional highways that have just become available for you to reach your endpoint, leading to less congestion and better performance, which of course in turn then makes this technology in partnership with OFDMA perfect for streaming media and high capacity links, for deployments, again, for things like hotels and conference centers where the connectivity has a high demand. Now, considering the times where people are required to work from home, or entrepreneurs that have started their own companies in the last year or so, you can imagine the need for proper downlink and upload speeds. So you can download work documents, but you also need to upload media, for instance, not to mention all the streaming done in the name of online meetings. Next slide, please, Charles. As I've spoken about the downlink, it's very much similar on the uplink side of things. As you can see with Wi-Fi 6 OFDMA, that increased reverse path range of multiple low power clients, and MU-MIMO, you're now able to experience the convenience of that increased uplink data rates with reduced latency. Of course, then improving your overall connected experience with up to 4.8 gigabits per second for user activities like file transfers and web content browsing. Yeah, thanks, Charles. Wi-Fi 6 home.
Cool. Yeah. So just once again, touching on those features. So, you know, the significance of 124 QAM. So you have a 30% increase on your top line speed when compared to 802.11ac. Okay. Spatial reuse. So it allows multiple BSS or access points and its connected clients to overlap, utilizing the same portion of frequency. Okay. You get your preamble boost and subcarrier repetition. So as I mentioned, with that additional 3 dB, you're able to push much further ranges with a 802.11ax chipset. And then you also have your target wait time. So this is a sleep time negotiated by the access point and client. So as I mentioned earlier, your end user device is going to save a lot more battery because it's not constantly putting out feelers to pick up is the Wi-Fi transmitting or not. It has a way in which it can pick up that when that access point is transmitting and when it needs to sort of wake up to receive that data. So saving you a lot more battery life on your smart devices, but more specifically on IoT devices. So if we look at this in an industrial type setting, maybe you're going to have some monitors on a piece of machinery to pick up when there are odd vibrations so that you know it's maybe time for a service or maybe there's something wrong. Let's go and check on it before it breaks. You know, that type of IoT device, you know, you ideally don't want to have to be changing every few months. So by having a target wait time, it's going to be a lot more efficient in saving its battery and prolonging its life. And yeah, something also pretty cool about the 802.11ax chipset is it also extends the capabilities of the existing 2.4 gigahertz band. So, you know, making 2.4 gigahertz great again, if you will. So as we know in a lot of scenarios, when we provide an AC or dual band access point or router, one of the benefits of 2.4 gigahertz is the fact that it can push longer distances. So once again, the more efficient utilization of spectrum doesn't only apply to 5 gigahertz, but 2.4 gigahertz as well. So you'll also see the benefit of that. And as it's stated, they're ideal for IoT devices with low bitrate requirements. So you're able to push long distances for devices that don't really need to transmit that much data. So yeah, just summarizing the benefits of Wi-Fi 6. So as I mentioned, significantly faster speeds, the ability to support IoT. So, we're in the fourth industrial revolution, and IoT is one of the key components of that revolution. So not just for residential use, but for actual enterprise uses as well, industrial too. Wi-Fi 6 access points also support location-based services. So if you're looking at an enterprise Wi-Fi rollout, something like a shopping center, for instance, what location-based services will let you do is actually track the movement of any devices that are communicating with that Wi-Fi access point. And those devices don't specifically need to be logged onto the guest portal, because remember, any smart device will be transmitting continuously to obviously pick up the Wi-Fi that's there. So using that connection, location-based services will actually track the movement of different devices within a specific area. Now, what can you do with that? You can draw some very valuable analytics on, consumer trends and where people move about. So if you're looking at a shopping center, for instance, location-based services can be used to value your retail space. So obviously you'll be able to see exactly where there's the most traffic and know that that is your prime position and will be your most expensive retail space versus, other areas where it's less congested and where your price is slightly lower. That's just a very basic example, but there's a lot more to it than that, of course. And an enhanced overall experience, so it's a method of future-proofing your Wi-Fi network to ensure that, your end users, whether they be corporate, whether they be residential, are going to be having a better overall experience in the long term, okay? And as a result of that, your retention will be a lot better as well, as opposed to, let's say, an ISP that does an installation of a more entry-level 802.11n router. 100%, their initial investment will be a bit less than what you would spend on an AX router, but for the long haul, before you know it, they're going to have to actually go back and replace that router with an AC or an AX router within a year or two, meaning that they've doubled up on their costs. Cool. So now we're just going to take a look at one or two of the different types of deployments. So first of all, Wi-Fi 6 in a home deployment. So for a home type scenario, like I mentioned, there's an ever-growing number of smart devices, not just your cell phones, not just your tablets and laptops, but things like your TV, things like your Xbox. We've got a few examples in the image over here, virtual reality headsets, but then also things like video doorbells, cameras, and so forth. So, having such a strong backbone is an absolute necessity when you're trying to, have a modern home with all these wonderful devices that we have available to us today. Okay. The feature that Alma mentioned earlier, MIMO, that plays a critical role. If you're looking at a typical household where, you've maybe got 4 family members, parents and 2 kids, there's a vast variety of any different activity that could be happening at a specific time, whether it's streaming, Netflix, whether it's gaming, and not to mention just the additional IoT devices that are obviously constantly transmitting. This is where you need something like MIMO. As Alma explained, in a traditional router type setup with, let's say, a 802.11n router with SISO, that router is going to speak to each and every single device one by one in a merry-go-round fashion. Okay, it happens within a few milliseconds, but the more devices you add, the more those milliseconds add up, and the more latency you'll get. So having a feature like MIMO to communicate with multiple devices in one go is obviously going to significantly reduce your latency and improve, once again, your overall user experience. Okay, with 802.11ax, you can build scalable networks. So, you can grow as your requirement goes. Within a home type setting, we're seeing the likes of more and more mesh units come into the market. whereby people don't just want a standalone router in their household, but they want a full-on mesh solution, which you'll typically purchase in one, two, three nodes. You can mix and match. There's some cool options out there from the likes of Ubiquiti, Tender, TP-Link for residential applications, and that will essentially provide you with blanket coverage in your house. And then obviously in an enterprise type setting, you would have multiple access points, but we'll chat about that on the next slide. Something really cool about the latest Wi-Fi 6 routers and access points is that pretty much all of the options that MiRO provides or that has in our portfolio do work with centralized managed platforms. Okay, so if it's a more enterprise type access point, you'll have a cloud controller. But for like a whole home mesh solution or just a nice attitude of an AX Wi-Fi router, you'll typically have an app that you can download, which will then give you full visibility of what's going on in the household, what devices are connected. You can create different SSIDs, one for the parents, one for the kids. You can utilize parental controls to restrict certain types of content from being viewed, and even limit the little one's time that they spend on the Wi-Fi. So if we know that the kids are getting home, let's say 4 o'clock, we know that from 4 to 6, there's going to be no access to the Wi-Fi or no access to certain websites because they're supposed to be doing homework at that point in time. So that's a really awesome value add to have that management and those types of parental controls. And that's stacked on for free. If you're buying any one of the latest AX routers, that's pretty much standard run of the mill. Okay. Furthermore, Wi-Fi 6 is perfect for home or small offices, or home office, if you will, because of its capabilities to serve, so many different types of devices. Obviously, with COVID happening, the work from home drive has been absolutely massive in South Africa, and that creates quite a unique scenario whereby you're utilizing your home network for two types of applications. First of all, for leisure, whether it's streaming Netflix and whatnot in the evenings, but during the day, you might be needing to connect to your business server, jump on video conferences, etc. And who knows, maybe the kids are at home at the same time playing Xbox or whatever. So you need a pretty solid backbone to support a hybrid network of that type. Cool. Then looking at enterprise deployments, Elmo.
Thanks, Charles. I don't know whether it is because we're moving towards our 30s or whether we're looking at being married or getting married, but this whole parental thing is definitely come up more than once. So let's rather look at enterprise with high performance, scalable and reliable Wi-Fi, obviously for any office space, is an essential part of this ever evolving need. So your company needs to have these requirements met. Obviously, like I said, there's a continuous growth and requirement for Wi-Fi 6 connections, and also to sustain good business practice with the latest technology to keep up with that growth. To consider an enterprise-grade wireless network is literally more than just a collection of Wi-Fi access points. Wi-Fi continues to evolve to support not just ever-increasing data demand, but also new use cases that require very low latency, higher reliability, and of course, world-class security and the support for the growing IoT device types. And of course, out of all of these needs to happen, it also needs to happen with an attractive price point. Wi-Fi 6 is definitely poised to play a key role in the consumer and enterprise connectivity trends of the future. Your new network has to be able to conform to enterprise requirements, and with features such as MTTR, you are now available to reduce the average time it'll take to recover from a product or system failure, all through the convenience of a remote management and monitoring service, as what Charles just explained. And of course, these best-of-breed products is offering those solutions for you, and most done on a free platform. We'll touch base on the centralized management platform in a moment. However, Charles has already said quite a bit. It's just one or two things that I would like to add there. With Wi-Fi 6 as a dual band indoor and outdoor access point for the convenience of your office space, no matter where you do business. And remember, with the OFDMA and MIMO technologies, these access points are categorized by superior security and performance at a much higher capacity for user density. Now, an interesting fact to consider. Wi-Fi chipset shipments are at an all-time high with 3.1 billion hitting the market in 2018. As Wi-Fi 6 is based on the 802.11ax standard and has penetrated the market globally on both the access points and device side, Wi-Fi is protected, or projected rather, to create a worldwide economic value of $3.47 trillion in 2023. It's quite an amazing feat if you think about the growth in such a short time. I'm mentioning this so that you understand the impact that Wi-Fi 6 will have on connected enterprises and businesses. And for you to realize through investing in Wi-Fi 6 and the value it'll have for your company in the age of digital transformation. Yeah, that's Wi-Fi 6 enterprise. Shah will talk to us about corporate, healthcare, hospitality, and education layouts. Thanks, Shah.
Awesome. Thank you, Almo. So, look, at MiRO, we have a passion for technology and we love to rave about the bells and whistles. So, MIMO, OFDMA, beamforming, band steering, etc., and the list goes on. But something, I like to sort of do to just bring this back down to earth is state a strong business case at the end of the day. Going to your clients and sort of explaining all these features isn't necessarily going to sell them on Wi-Fi 6. So, you need to explain it to them from a business point of view. And I mean, yeah, obviously, on the back end, that this can serve much more concurrent connections, provide a much better user experience. You've got all the management, features on the back end as well, to give you full visibility of your network. All those features will help you bring down the total cost of ownership. Okay. Meaning that when you're looking at a corporate, healthcare, hospitality, or educational rollout, you're going to be able to cut a lot of costs in the long run. Okay. Something pretty cool that I can already speak about from experience of going out on site to one or two, places. For instance, the last one I went to was a hotel that are looking to overhaul, all the 802.11n and AC units. Was how easy it is to actually do a rollout with Wi-Fi 6 when you've got that extra kick and extra power on the processor or on the CPU, if you will, of the access point, meaning that you can actually reduce your bill of materials. Okay. We'll go into like a typical conference hall at a hotel and see that there were, let's say, 10 to 12 existing 802.11ac access points and be able to replace that with 4 access points. On the outdoor side, once again, we can utilize less outdoor wireless access points because of that extra 3 dBm. We're covering better distances, and of course, we're reaching more clients, but we've got the power on the back end or of the chipset to handle that many extra concurrent connections as well. Something I always like to mention is that when you're looking at antennas and such on residential routers, for instance, look, it is an important thing, but you need to understand that the distances is not going to sort of hamper your performance because you're now getting additional devices that your router can't handle, for instance. So it's always important to know what type of chipsets in that device. Can it handle that type of that many concurrent connections, or are these sort of extra antennas maybe just a gimmick? To try and make the router look more aggressive, but what's actually inside it is a standard 802.11n Wi-Fi chipset, for instance. So rather look at what's inside it, and obviously make sure it's got the correctly spec'd antennas, but don't put everything on that. But yeah, so I mean, these are just a few examples: corporate, healthcare, hospitality, and education. Simply because this is a typical type of scenario where you'll have a very dense environment, where you'll have multiple people, multiple devices, all trying to connect to the network. So you need a rock solid solution, and this is where Wi-Fi 6 slots in perfectly. Cool. And handing over back to Alma to look at the centralized management platforms.
Thanks, Charles. Yeah, comparing with the enterprise platforms, it is essential to choose and understand the benefits of using a license-free centralized management platform, which will ultimately enable network administrators with a robust, almost an all-in-one package to quickly set up, manage, and monitor scalable devices or networks. My apologies. From one platform, you can set up multiple profiles, and when adding to your network, it is as easy as adopting your device in the required preset profile for scalable solutions. System and product upgrades are available from the respective vendors, and as easy as downloading the latest version and installing it on your network. Take into consideration, you can also set a specific time to your network to do so, the upgrade. Obviously, depends on how little impact this will have on your network. You can freely also download and install the NMS software to any Windows, Mac, or Linux machine that will enable you to remotely manage and monitor your network. Charles also mentioned the cloud keys that are available with some brands. Yeah, it's for you to monitor your network, even if it spans over multiple locations. You can also do tailor-made solutions, not just for the business, but for home applications as well. As Charles mentioned, parents can now set up profiles with certain security restrictions, providing control, and of course, peace of mind. Some of these best-of-breed brands feature zero-touch provisioning, private and public cloud hosting platforms, and easily integrates with third-party applications that will assist your network with location-based services that is used to gather insights and behavioral patterns to assist and improve your guests' overall experience. Next slide, thanks, Charles. As part of MiRO's pre-sales planning benefits to our business partners is making use of these designer tools, such as heat mapping. The option, of course, is also available to you through the software. This enables a solution plan for client that will give you an indication on how many access points to deploy and their transmitting range as per those two images. It is as simple as adding a building plan and then start adding your access points accordingly. The benefits, of course, of these designer tools is for you to be enabled to identify Wi-Fi dead zones, eradicate slow Wi-Fi speeds, and basically taking out the guessing game. It will also enable you to have certain reports at your disposal for further reference and automate Wi-Fi network evaluations. Right, Charles, that's me. I don't know if you have anything to add with this designer tool.
Awesome. No, thank you very much for that. Yeah, and if anyone wants to download these tools, generally speaking, it's available directly from the vendor's websites. So whether it's like a Ubiquiti or Cambium designer tool that you want to use, you can simply go directly to the website or give us a shout, ask one of our sales team members, and we can point you in the right direction. So it's a cool tool to play around with. But of course, as a MiRO business partner, we will do this for you as well. And yeah, so that sort of summarizes our very short and sweet introduction to Wi-Fi 6. Hopefully you guys see the benefits, of this wonderful technology and how it can ultimately help you get a better return on investment in the long run by having a future-proof network that's sort of able to handle the demands of modern-day residential and corporate applications. But yeah, so that's pretty much all from our side. We will want to, of course, stick around for a few more minutes to take any questions that you may have. Like I said, this wasn't a very technical presentation, but if there are some more of those technical discussions that you'd like to have, we can also set up an additional meeting. If there's maybe a project you'd like to look at, give us a shout. The great news is that we do already have stock on hand of Wi-Fi 6 products. From the likes of Ubiquiti and TP-Link with the residential and enterprise access points and Wi-Fi routers, as well as Cambium Networks, which also has some enterprise Wi-Fi 6 access points. So, the technology is accessible. And if you do want to maybe look at a potential project and discuss it, definitely give us a shout. But otherwise, if anyone's got any questions, please pop in the comments box. If you're looking at the screen, you'll see on the right, there's a little bubble thing there with a chat box, so you can put in your questions there, and we'll be happy to answer it. So I see we did get a raised hand from someone. If you could just pop your question into the comments box, we'll be happy to answer it for you.
While that comment is being left, also just want to encourage everyone to go to MiRO's website. Often there are articles, write-ups, specifically about the technologies and the applications thereof. There has been a very recent Wi-Fi 6 article, and I just want to encourage you guys to go through our website and see all the media that is available. Also to follow us on social media. Yeah, Shoal?
No, nothing from my side.
Oh, my apologies. Yeah, so just please, guys, follow us on social media, LinkedIn as well, as many of the product managers also post and keep our clients updated with what MiRO is doing at the moment with technologies that are available and upcoming events.
Cool. Let's see if we've got any questions here. Okay, so we've got one or two questions. See, Kuyula says, hi, great people. Thank you, Kuyula. Yeah, guys, thank you for your kind comments. So Ravi asked what brands are available. So once again, I'd just like to mention we do have stock on hand from brands like Ubiquiti, which has residential and enterprise Wi-Fi access points. We have some options from Cambium Networks, specifically enterprise Wi-Fi access points. And then on TP-Link, it's specifically residential routers that we have available. So, you know, whether you're looking at an enterprise rollout or a residential rollout, we do have options for both. Let's see here. From Saron, we have a question here. How does Wi-Fi 6 handle a mixed audience of older and newer devices, some of which don't support Wi-Fi 6, an example of a large deployment in a stadium? That is actually a brilliant question. And the straight answer to that is that all the Wi-Fi 6 options that we have or on offer are all backward compatible. So if the device is Wi-Fi 6 compatible and it's got like the latest iPhone will have a Wi-Fi 6 chipset, it will operate using those speeds. If not, it will the access point will operate with the AC devices or 802.11 devices as well. So it is fully backward compatible, to answer your question. Is there any special training required to implement Wi-Fi 6 systems? So Kayula, to answer that question, there's not specific training for Wi-Fi 6, but there is specific training for Wi-Fi. Okay, so MiRO has a pretty awesome, set of different training sessions that we offer. One, if you're not, let's say, accustomed to the industry or maybe new to doing Wi-Fi installations, we have something called the Zero to Hero trainings. Okay. That type of training basically focuses on the fundamentals of a particular type of technology. So we'll have Zero to Hero for fixed broadband, we'll have Zero to Hero for security, and then a Zero to Hero for Wi-Fi. So in that, we'll go through the fundamentals of how does Wi-Fi work, you know, what would you typically look at when doing an installation, how do you manage it, how do you troubleshoot, and so forth. So on the MiRO Academy website, we'll get the link for you now. You can actually go and check it out and see what trainings are available to you. So yeah, in summary, I would definitely recommend that you do as much training as possible, whether it's via MiRO or via one of our vendors' learning portals. A lot of the main brands that we work with do have their own learning portals where you can do online certifications and so forth. But special training is not necessarily required, but it's highly recommended. You know, the more skilled up you can be, the larger chance of success you will have when doing a Wi-Fi rollout. You don't want to mess something up on site and then have to go back to the client and have to fix things up at a later stage. It's not going to do anyone any good. Okay, so I see we've got another question here. Are there any enhancements with regards to security? Since as we move to a world where everything is now running on Wi-Fi, attacks where you simply flood a channel means that your Wi-Fi is broken. Are there maybe failover protocols or such in place? So look, there are proprietary protocols that essentially protect the data that you're transmitting over that specific Wi-Fi network. So there will be a level of encryption on that to specifically, protect the data that's being sent and received via that network. Furthermore, there are additional security measures that can be set on, either your residential network or enterprise network, and that can be done via the management portal. So if you have a particular solution in place or looking to do a particular solution, you want to know what security measures can be taken, then maybe just pop us a mail. We'll be happy to walk you through it. There are different firewall solutions and stuff that you can stack on top of an enterprise Wi-Fi solution as well. So for instance, if you're doing a Ubiquiti or Cambium enterprise Wi-Fi rollout, you can bundle that up with something like Untangle, which will be your firewall solution. Okay, which is the best brand of enterprise solution? Ravi, you're really trying to cause a stir here. You've got the Cambium Networks product manager and the Ubiquiti product manager on this presentation. So look, there's no specific right or wrong answer, okay? The way we allow such large brands like Cambium and Ubiquiti to coexist within MiRO is the fact that we utilize it for different types of applications, okay? So it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. So in that sort of sense, MiRO sort of takes on the role of a technology consultant, if you will, where you come to us, explain to us, look, Charles, I'm looking to do a large stadium. What are your options? Or look, I'm looking to do a small primary school. What are your options? And based on that, we can look at the budget that you've got. We can look at the coverage requirements. We can look at the speeds, what type of device is going to be on that network. And based on that, we will point you in the right direction. And we'll say, look, these are one or two options you can look at. Maybe they'll be from the same brand. Maybe they'll be from two different brands. But it's a case by case. There's no best brand available for enterprise solutions. There's multiple best options for particular applications from all the brands, and it's for that reason that we obviously distribute so many ones. So yeah, your question later on. So with regards to the backward compatibility answer, so would that not minimize the performance gain brought on by MU-MIMO? Or is that purely on the AP side thing? Meaning, would you still be able to transmit multiple streams of data regardless of the client device? Yeah, so you'll have MU-MIMO on the downlink, whereby it will send a stream back to your 802.11n unit, a single stream that is, but your 802.11n unit will not have MU-MIMO on the uplink because it doesn't form part of that 802.11ax network. So your performance that you see on an 802.11n device when working with a 802.11ax access points will definitely be slower than an 802.11ax device, okay? But with that being said, look, we've done a lot of tests out in the field with AX Wi-Fi access points and older generation 802.11ac devices. And what we've seen is even so, there's still a massive jump in the performance because of the processing power and the kick that a AX access point or router will have. These are built to serve hundreds of concurrent connections. So even if you only have AC devices on your network, there's still going to be a much bigger jump. Just purely from a point of it having a lot more processing power.
Sure, can I jump in there as well?
Yes.
Yeah, they're on. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Also, I just wanted to add that when you set up your network, remember that you can set up different SSIDs as well, specifically if you're looking towards something like a guest network. So I know that many access points and routers have got band steering as well, which means that if your device has got 802.11ax, it'll automatically push your device to Wi-Fi 6, let's say on the router. But you also have the option of switching on the additional 5 gigahertz radio with a separate SSID, for instance. Let's say you've got a guest setting that's part of a wireless option where you can set up this separate SSID. But essentially, it's an easy way, for you to determine which device goes where.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. Thanks for adding that, Alma. Yeah, so obviously when you've got multiple radios in an access point, band steering will basically push the the older generation devices onto a particular radio, and then you'll have your faster ones on the, you know, the higher end, like 5 gigahertz, for instance. Yeah. And yeah, and of course, having multiple SSIDs is a balancing sort of feature anyway on any network. You know, if you're looking at a corporate environment, you might have SSID for guests, one's for management, one's for employees, you know, and you can assign different rules to each to make sure that one particular type of user isn't dragging down your whole network. Now, we had a cool question here. I'm just trying to get back to it. Sorry, guys. Thank you. Keep the questions coming. I'm just going to go back a little bit here. How do you compare Huawei to MiRO's available branded products for price and technology superiority? So, look, Ravi, I'm going to assume that you're talking about the Huawei routers. I know that they also do outdoor wireless, which, I mean, that's a whole different ball game, but definitely, you know, the likes of Ubiquiti and Cambium will give you a much better price point. But on the router side, I know Huawei sort of operates in the same game as, you know, your Ubiquitis, your TP-Links, your Tenders. Look, Huawei is a very good product, and we actually do distribute Huawei. So, look, they've actually just introduced their own 802.11ax router. So we'll probably be onboarding that in the next week or two, along with some of their newer routers. They've just gone through a bit of a transition phase where they've ER-old some of the older generation, and they've now replaced it with the new. But yeah, with regards to quality and the price superiority, definitely you can find some better options, well, price-wise, from the likes of a TP-Link, a Ubiquiti, or a Tender. And the good news is that most of those are backed up by the same sorts of warranties. So you're looking at either 2 to 3 year warranty with the same hardware spec. So, you know, certain people will be dead set on Huawei because it's what they've been using for years, and we do know it is a great quality product. So if that's your preference, then no problem. You know, like I said, we sell Huawei as well. But if you do want something at a slightly better price point, it's for that reason that we have the TP-Links, Tenders, and Ubiquities of the world in our portfolio as well. So it's much of a muchness. I'm not going to necessarily say one is better than the other. The chances are they both have a 802.11ax chipset, and the same sort of spec wireless speeds. Let's say it's an AX 1500 units. You'll probably get more or less the same type of performance out of it. Can you kindly email the presentation? So look, we'll speak to our marketing team to see if we can do that, because we've actually used a platform called Prezi. So it's not your typical PowerPoint, but I'll try and find out if we can maybe find the link that we can send to you. And then what we'll do is maybe tomorrow or the day after, we will send out a follow-up mail to everyone that's joined us this afternoon, and that'll hopefully have a link to this full presentation, so you can have a look at it. Yes.
Sorry to be that guy. I just quickly wanted to mention that I think that this webinar is meant to go to MiRO Academy. As I've mentioned before, that MiRO Academy is now a free platform for all of MiRO's business partners. And there will be a link that you can literally just go and view this as well. But essentially, I think it will end up on MiRO Academy. We'll just confirm that via mail.
Yes, 100%. So yeah, no, that is a given. So this specific recording will go up on MiRO Academy as well. So that you'll definitely have. And yeah, so I think that's the majority of the questions. Okay, sure. No, never mind. There's still some more. So let's see here. So Sasha says there are Wi-Fi 6 upgrades available for older laptops. The Intel AX200 is an example. Do you foresee any compatibility upgrades for this for this example? Since existing antennas 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, those could be reused. Is that feasible? Sure. I'm going to take it that you're asking, is there a way to sort of upgrade existing devices like laptops? The answer is yes. From TP-Link, for instance, we actually have a Wi-Fi 6 adapter already available. So you'll plug that into your laptop, and it will allow that device to then work with the Wi-Fi 6 network. So definitely something you want to look at if you've got existing laptops and such. You can get adapters. Just like we sell many different types of 802.11n and 802.11n adapters as well. It looks like a little USB. I don't know if any of you guys have those wireless mouses where you put a little small USB adapter into your PC. That's pretty much what they look like. They're very small and easy to put in. Okay, Sasha has another one over here. With the output power of the access points increasing in wattage, they are likely to be able to push the signal further. How then would they get signal back, since most laptops do not have a huge wattage output or high gain antenna? Yeah, so look, that's going to differ depending on the smart device that you're using. Something that we always say is, you need to look at the end user device's capability with regards to the range. Technically speaking, if I took two of the latest additive and AX Wi-Fi access points and put them a kilometer apart from each other in an open area, they could probably communicate, okay? But, saying that when looking at an end user device, typically that's a lot more limited. So generally speaking, when you're looking at an AX access point, you do have those 3 dB, so its coverage is a bit better, but I wouldn't put it past, let's say, 150 or 200 meters, to be able to connect to an end user device as a rule of thumb. Awesome. I think that's all the questions. So I hope that answers your question, Ravi. Guys, if there's any more questions, you've got our email addresses here. Feel free to pop us a mail if there's any, like I say, potential rollouts you'd like to look at. Any questions around, training, if you need some more guidance on how to get started with that, please let us know. We will be setting up a follow-up mail to each and every single one of you that joined us this afternoon. And keep an eye out for the rest of our schedule. We will have a whole bunch of additional webinars coming through, brand specific and technology, more general technology discussions. And if there's ever a specific topic that you'd like us to cover, once again, pop us a mail, let us know. We'll be happy to put it together for you. Whether it be a full-on webinar that we put together for you, like this one over here, or we jump on an MS Teams call and just do a sort of one-on-one presentation on the technology. We're always happy to do that. Elmo and I, we can speak for both our brands. We've got a lot of content to share on both of them. So, thank you everyone for joining. We really do appreciate it, and we wish you all the best for the start of this year. I know we've got a few challenges ahead, but let's keep our head up and keep connecting communities.
Yeah, thank you for you as well, Charles. It is great to co-host with you again. And to everybody, may 2021 just be a blessed year.
Thank you, Elmo. Awesome, guys. If there's no questions, we'll wrap it up and close it down. I'll give it another minute, but otherwise, thank you very much and have a great afternoon.